Call the council meeting to order. Confirmation of the agenda. Councillor Lawden and Councillor Ritzman-Teninga. All in favor? Carried. Disclosure of pecuniary interest, if any. None noted. Moving to the consent agenda. Do you have a motion?
I would just like to bring forward one point in the consent agenda.
Okay, which point is that?
4.2.3. 1.
So we will deal with the rest of the agenda first and then deal with that point. You're moving it? Councillor Knott, Deputy Reeve Campbell.
Councillor Knott, did you just wish to ask a question about that, or are you wanting to put something later on the agenda for further discussion and a decision?
I guess that initially it will be a question to Pat through the Reeve, and then I guess if it's going to go for further discussion, we can decide at that point.
Perhaps if he raised the question, we could determine whether it would be put later.
We'll take the question now.
Okay. To Pat, with regard to the naming rights, that's good. I see that we've determined the amount of money and so on that Westcast initially put in, but you did mention in here the possibilities of doing naming rights for other parts of the arena. Have we ever done that? That's really the question. Have we ever done that?
Go ahead, Pat.
At this point, no, and there may be opportunities. There are some areas and signs that say donated by, but not like the arena is just the arena. It's not the Bill Knott Arena or something like that at this stage, or the Toyota Aquatic Center. No, they are not named. There are some spaces that indicate that that space was donated by someone, some of the change room spaces and things like that. So does that answer?
Okay.
Okay.
The no is good. So I guess now my question is, can we at some point in time in the future put that forward, that we take a look at the possibility of naming rights for parts of the complex for fundraising?
So if you wish to put that later in the agenda for debate, then we can remove that item and do so if council chooses.
Okay.
So could the motion reflect that that item has been removed from consent and we can discuss under other business?
Thank you.
Okay. Got that together. All in favor of the motion? Carried. Okay.
It goes right down to 6 reports.
So 6.1.1. Oh, okay. That we need a motion, and the council of the Township of North Huron hereby authorizes the clerk to prepare a bylaw for the July 18th, 2016 council meeting to enter into an agreement with the Avon-Maitland District School Board for the rental of a classroom at the Maitland River Elementary School for the provision of a before and after school program, and further that the Reeve clerk be authorized to sign the agreement. Councillor Syke.
I'll move for discussion purposes.
Councillor Ritzman-Teninga. Go ahead on discussion, Councillor Syke.
Yeah, through you, Reeve, to Kathy, I just want to understand the whole rental. Is this part of the shared agreement between the Avon board and us? Reciprocal agreement where we don't pay actually anything physically in cash to them, but it's just kind of, it's written up in that sense?
That's correct.
Okay.
Councillor Not.
I don't see any time frame in there. What is the period of that agreement?
We renew it every year at this time.
So
Yearly?
This is for the
So it's ready
2016,
for the
2017.
September school year.
Should that not be part of that bylaw?
I can make sure that it goes into the agreement.
Okay. All in favor of the motion? Carried. Okay, 6.1.2, Ontario wildlife damage. Do we have somebody willing to make the
I'll
motion
make that
as
motion.
printed?
I'll make the motion.
Deputy Reeve Campbell and Councillor Hallahan. Okay. Any discussion on it? All in favor? Carried. Okay, moving to 6.2.1, the 2015 audited financial statements. And
I move that it be approved.
okay, and seconder? Councillor Knott? Discussion, all in favor? Carried. Moving to 6.3.1, live arena board leaf account. Ray, you're moving. Seconder? Councillor Wadden? Any, take a question?
Yeah, I just want to confirm that this LEAF account has, in the past, has been used for this purpose. I guess I'm not 100% knowledgeable about what the reserve for this LEAF account has been specified for, and my guess is that it's okay, but I just wanted to clarify for myself that this is what this LEAF account is meant for.
It
This
is
purpose.
for things at the arena and grounds. Does that catch it broadly?
Yeah, I just want to make sure that the fact that it's specified and it's coming out of reserve, that we are using it for the purpose of what it was meant to be used for.
Councillor Wadden?
And furthermore, it's all made up of donations from different groups that use the park or want to make a
Groups or
donation.
individuals,
Yes.
sometimes individuals.
Yeah, I guess it's not my intent of the fact that it was donations or not. I just want to make sure the fact that if we're donating and stuff's going into reserve, that we're utilizing it for the purpose of what it was put in there for and not something else.
Pat, you agree?
Yes, and I was actually going to share that coming to council, the board has been working on a new policy surrounding that. I think will clarify what it's permitted to be used for and not, and under what conditions. I'm not sure if Councillor Bodden would like to expand on that, but that's coming for clarity.
Go ahead.
Well, without going into a great deal of detail, that committee is re-examining its modality and purpose. Part of the reason for the committee originally was to get feedback from user groups to discover what needs to be done in terms of making improvements or fixing problems in the park. But the group only meets 3 times a year, so it's really not being used for that purpose by the user groups. If they have a problem, they go to Pat or the staff and so on. So we're really in the process of closing that committee down and coming up with another approach for dealing with the LEAF accounts.
Okay. All those in favor of the motion? Carried. Moving to 7.1. Oh,
6.3.
Oh, okay, yeah, sorry. Light, or amendments, that the council of the township of North Huron at the June 6th, 2016 council meeting passed a resolution M 328/16 approving in principle the lease agreement for the Blythe Memorial Community Hall between the township of North Huron and the Blythe Arts and Culture Initiative 1419 Inc. and authorized the clerk to prepare a bylaw to enter into said agreement. And further, that the council of the township of North Huron, prior to passage of bylaw 66, 2016, being a bylaw to authorize the signing of the lease agreement for the Blythe Memorial Community Hall between the township of North Huron and the Blythe Arts and Cultural Initiative 1419 Inc. hereby amends the lease agreement. You want me to go through the different articles, or have you read it close enough? Pat?
I was just gonna add that the agreement came in as a PDF late on Thursday. It was put in your package. It was then reviewed, 2 typos on it, which we wanted to make sure we were aware of before you adopted it. And they're in the process of updating the paper copies that will actually be signed to reflect these changes if council agrees to them. But they're really just typos to make sure that the agreement is exactly how both parties agreed.
Okay, thank you, Pat. Councillor Knott?
I'll make the motion
Okay,
to proceed.
seconder, Councillor Ritzman-Tenenga. All in favor? Carried. Okay. Request from the Blythe VIA. And this is that the Blythe Business Improvement Area to close Queen Street in Blythe from Dinsley Street to Wellington Street from 10 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. on July 23rd for 2016 for the Blythe Street Fest. And further, that County of Huron and emergency services be notified. And further, that staff are authorized to assist with street festival setup, providing barriers, pylons, recycling and garbage bins in cooperation with the Director of Recreation and Facilities and Public Works Department. Do I have a mover?
I'll move for discussion.
Councillor Knott, Councillor Ritzman-Tenenga. Go ahead.
The first part of the motion to close the street is fine. Where I have a problem is that the second portion of this requests that staff provide labor, which we have told all groups and organizations within North Huron over a year ago that going forward, when they're going to request staff, that they would be prepared to pay for such staff. This particular request also involves a vehicle and manpower to go to Clinton and retrieve equipment and so on. It's actually quite expensive, and it is held on a Saturday, which could involve overtime payment to employees. So I would actually proceed that we tell, as we have told others, including the Muskrat Festival, that we will provide the barriers, the pylons, and the garbage bins, except that the collection, distribution, and the acquiring of the stage that they need, they will have to find other means to do it, or they will have to pay the going or established staff rate for staff usage.
Do you agree?
I echo Councillor Knott's request here because we have brought this up before. We've talked about this before. And being on a Saturday, we will pay extra time for this to happen.
I was just going to mention that the moving of the stage and the bleachers would probably likely happen prior to the event and after, during the regular work week. It would only be the garbage, I believe, that would be on the day of, and the road closure, staff required for that. The policy with respect, and I could be wrong, is the waiving of fees, and the donation policy, which states that we don't donate the fee to rent an activity. However, these are VIA activities and they're committees of council, and it hasn't been established in their memorandum of understanding whether or not these are expectations of staff or not. And my recommendation might be that that needs to be clarified in that memorandum of understanding with that particular committee of council. These have been activities that have been done in past few years on behalf of this community event. So I'm just kind of sharing some background about the conversation. And so items like Muskrat Festival and this really need to create either their own memorandum of understanding for each event, or if they're hosted by a BIA, what we are willing and not willing to contribute, but they are community events.
Councillor Vaughan.
I would object to this amendment. I don't think it's, I think our tradition has been that we help out with those events. I think it's important to our operation of the towns, the economic development and goodwill within the community. And I would oppose this.
Sure.
I would echo Pat's comments that we haven't specifically put anything in a policy to date, although council has expressed concern about the amount of in-kind donations that township staff are making to various events. You know, with respect to having staff respond on a weekend, this is an event that's going to require some traffic control. So not to put our director on the spot here, but if we are going to be setting up traffic control for an event, I would expect that we would want to make sure that we're doing so to ensure the safety of the public. And would you like to comment on that, Jeff?
You know, I would concur with that for sure. You know, if it's a street closure, a road closure of some, in some respect, I mean, there's going to be some sort of traffic diversion associated with it as well, that we would like to verify some of that detail. But certainly from that perspective, we want to make sure that it is done right, especially when it is a committee of council. We want to make sure that they are going through a formal process that we would also go through to make sure that those closures are done appropriately.
Councillor Syke.
You know, I don't object to the discussion about whether this stuff is in kind and how, and the understanding of whether it's been done in the past or maybe it hasn't been done. The issue that I have is that it doesn't really specify how much time, doesn't specify dollars. Like, you know, we could be talking about a couple $100 here, and we're spending more time talking about that couple $100 than it's really deemed necessary. There's, in my eyes, there's bigger fish than this particular event. If we want to talk about this event, we should be talking about every event in the same breath as one member of understanding, and then understand what that cost is by event on a one sheet of paper that says, here's what we're willing to provide and here's what we're not willing to provide. Outside of that, going individuals, I don't think you're setting a bad precedent by picking and choosing which events you're going to make that discussion on. So to me, it's more of that. It's more of the direction of, if we want to have a conversation later about every event that we provide in kind, then I think that's a better discussion than picking this one right now because this one's on the table. I think it's not fair to the Street Fest. It's not fair to anybody else who's had this in the past. And I guess there has been some communication about in-kind stuff, but not to the level of this. So I think, to me, it's more of a discussion about our policy as a full policy, not necessarily individual.
Sure.
Yeah, and I think there's perhaps, a difference between an event that's going to take place over a weekend and having a staff person there manning the event for an entire weekend and the cost associated with that versus some of these setup things that relate to public safety. Perhaps now that the new director is here, we can talk about some internal processes, also with the Director of Recreation and Facilities, how to mitigate that amount of staff time spent at events. Perhaps there's something we can put in place, such as traffic control measures, trained individuals to be able to set up and take down. I don't know. We can certainly speak as a staff on ways to mitigate the amount of time that we're spending on weekends in an overtime situation. But I would just caution you at this point in time, until we have those measures in place, that we don't move too quickly, and we look, as you suggest, at all of the events as a whole.
Councillor Knott?
I'm going to say that actually we've discussed it repeatedly in the past, and it's been brought up several times. The problem is we have not gone forward and specifically said, this is something we have to do, let's put it on the agenda and let's get it done. So at this point in time, what I'd like to do is say, that's great, I have no problem with this really, but this is a point where let's get it on the agenda.
Point where we have to have a definite policy.
Let's
written
make a
on it.
policy, let's make whatever we have to do at this point in time now to get it assessed as quickly as possible. Because this one here has been dragging around for 2 years.
Agreed, and the looking at various committees and determining their status has been also something that's been sort of hanging around for a while. So I have been talking to the senior staff about a number of things that I'm calling framework issues that we really need to be able to get in place to facilitate our shared services project and some other projects that have been sort of hanging around for a while. So I've asked staff for next Monday to have a report back on all of these sort of hanging issues. We've put deadlines on all of them, and I've asked them to report back on all the staff resources that they require to be able to complete these tasks by the end of the year or by the deadlines that we've established. And so we will be seeing those things moving forward.
Okay, we have
Go ahead.
split this into
It is too hot. It is too much.
It is
yeah.
too
the two motions, and from Bill and Yolanda, that for to close the street. All in favor? Carried. And for the Township of North hereby supports the Wide Street Festival 2016 event to be held July 23rd, and further that staff are authorized to assist with the street festival setup, providing barriers and pylons, recycling and garbage bins, in cooperation with the Director of Recreation and Facilities and Public Works. Trevor and Yolanda. James.
Could we ask our staff to keep track of the time so it gives us something to go on when we're doing policies?
That's a note of direction that I think is being
So
taken.
that we have something to go with. Okay.
All in favor of the motion? Carried. Go ahead.
One thing to note as well, now that we are in the process of implementing our new payroll software, we have the ability to do some additional job costing. So we're going to be working on Public Works, hopefully to get everything in line for next year's budget. Pat has broken down some of her items in this year's budget, but there is the ability to break things down even further if you're looking for job costing on specific items, such as a specific park or a specific service. So we will continue to develop that so you can really start to get a handle on where your costs are and begin making some decisions with respect to service levels.
Okay. Moving to 7.2, request for Wide Festival. That the Council of the Township of North Huron hereby supports the Wide Festival in making application to the LCBO for a special occasion permit to serve alcohol in the Blythe Memorial Hall courtyard in conjunction with the Bonanza on Saturday, August 6, 2016. And further, the council proclaims the event of municipal significance.
So moved.
Councillor Lloyd and Councillor Hallahan. Any discussion? All in favor? Carried. Okay, moving to the Reeves report. On June 21st, the Musical Muskrat Festival committee had a meeting. We had several new people to that meeting, and from a number of the new people that there were friends that would be willing to work at it, but they couldn't make it that night, so that it was very positive for looking at a new and improved Musical Muskrat Festival for next year. On the 22nd of June, Donna and I attended the Westerio annual meeting, and that it's the highest dividend, you'd call it, Donna, that they have paid out to North Huron since Westerio took over Wingham PUC. So that things are positive in that direction, and the company is well situated to look at possible investments or things in the near future, so that that was good. On the 23rd, as council will know, a number of members of the airport committee and people that use the airport had a meeting, and that was very positive as well, and that maybe something that was overdue for pilots to come and talk directly to the full council. So that I think things will be good out of that. On the 25th, the ALS walk in Wingham happened from the Lions Pavilion, and that there was a large number of people there to support the cause, and that they were represented quite a few different teams, so that that was great. On the 27th, Sharon and I attended a meeting along with Paul and Nancy Mickey, Paul Gowing and Nancy Mickey, to explain different points that we had looked at in the shared services to Central Huron, Huron East, and Blue Water councils. It was sort of 3 council meetings in the one room. Do you want to say anything about it? Or?
I think it was pretty well received. The 3 municipalities are obviously in talks about potential for shared service. So our message to them was that while we can share our experiences going through a shared service project, each one of those are going to have to look individually at their own experience, their own motivation, and perhaps what their own benefit would be to entering into a shared services project. So I think we had some questions, and we shared our learning that we've experienced to date with our shared services project. And I think they're going to continue meeting together and decide whether there's any benefit to moving forward.
Okay, thank you. And June 28th was Municipal Night at the Blythe Festival. There was
quite get that.
probably the best turnout of any year that I can remember, and there was quite a few laughs from the birds and the bees. Okay, so that, and I think a little later in the meeting, Councillor Hallahan will be giving a short report on the events in Belgrave on the weekend in support of East Wallinosh 150th anniversary. Okay. Request. Councillor Vaughn?
I'd just like to thank the staff for the wonderful card that they gave my wife and me for our 60th anniversary, and it's very much appreciated, especially the messages.
Report on Saturday?
Yeah, I'll report what I can. It was very exciting weekend, so it was. I think we had great community support. The numbers, I can't give you them all yet. I'll have them at the next meeting, but I know the auction loan the live auction loan was over $12,000. The Kinsman's fed between 325 and 350 people on beef. Don't know the numbers in on that yet. The VX93 dance was attended well, but we don't have the numbers on it yet. So, but all in all, it was pretty exciting. They did well. It's very good. And now by the next meeting, we'll have the figures and stack for what they mean.
Okay. Anything else from council? Ten point one. That bylaw, that's the resolution, with bylaw 65, 2016, being a bylaw to authorize the Reeve clerk to sign on behalf of council a memorandum of understanding between the Corporation of the Township of North Huron and the Coalition for Huron Injury Prevention be introduced and read a first and second time. Deputy Reeve Campbell and Councillor Bodden. All in favor? Carried. Okay, that bylaw 65, 2016 be read a third and final time, signed by the Reeve and clerk and engrossed in the bylaw book. Do I have a mover? Councillor Knott, Councillor Syke. All in favor? Carried. The bylaw 66, 2016, being a bylaw to authorize the signing of the lease agreement for the Blythe Memorial Community Hall between the Township of North Huron and the Blythe Arts and Cultural Initiative 1419 Inc. be introduced, read a first and second time. Councillor Ritzman-Tenenga and Councillor Knott. All in favor? And that bylaw 66, 2016 be read a third and final time, signed by the Reeve clerk and engrossed in the bylaw book. Councillor Syke and Councillor Knott. All in favor? Carried. Okay. Is there announcements? 12.1, scheduling of a town hall public meeting as per section 5.9 of the Township of North Huron procedural bylaw 18, 2016. We need a date and time. So anybody want to suggest a date and time? Councillor Syke.
So just so this is in addition to our normal council meeting, or this would be the council meeting? It's in addition to the council meeting?
It would be in addition, so it would be a public forum format in the meeting.
So I would I would suggest the fact that we're in July, I would suggest so we can make sure we properly advertise and promote it out there to make sure. So I would say, my recommendation or suggestion would be maybe August 30th, that's a Tuesday, at 7 o'clock in Blythe.
Councillor Knott, you have something to say?
I'd like to see us do it on a Saturday where we can actually maybe get some attendance. No one objects. And hold it at just prior to lunch or just after lunch. Blythe, I have no objection to. We have a hall you can use. But I would like to see it held on a Saturday if that's possible.
I'm not sure, do you think you will, in the nice weather, get people out on
But
Saturday?
well, the second part of that is that I would not hold it in August
Yeah.
anyway, no matter what. I think you're gonna find nobody's going to show up in the summer months. You'd be better to hold it, say, on September the 10th. After the kids are back to school and people are back home, give them a week
Yeah, I would suggest you have a hard time getting people out.
in August. Yeah, no, you'll never get anybody out in August, no matter what day you have.
I don't think people will come out on Saturday.
You know, I think you'll get far more people on a Saturday than you will on a Tuesday night.
I think you'll get the interested people on a Tuesday night. They'll make an effort to get to it if they want it, but they may not on a Saturday. I don't know. And the 10th now, which makes this week. Yeah, we're into the Thrashers for 3 days to Saturday
Yeah,
event
right.
after this weekend after the Labor Day week.
Councillor Singh,
I don't think we're gonna solve the fact that a date, I think what we need to understand is this is the procedural bylaw. It's suggested that we have it once a year. So try it this year on a Tuesday. If we don't get the attendance, we try it on a Saturday next year. If we don't get attendance, we keep moving around till we think we can get something. I think we could sit here all day and negotiate what day is gonna be the best. I think we just pick a day and advertise the heck of it and try to get as much, and we understand that it's an open forum and it's there to provide some feedback to council on all the topics. It's not a matter of what it is, it's just that's the intention. So I think for me, that's kind of, I'm okay with the fact that if it's not in August, that's okay. I just was throwing out a date, but I think whether it be a Tuesday or Saturday or whatever, I think we pick a date and just, that's the date for this year, and if it doesn't work, then it doesn't work. But, I think anybody can argue any day of the week could be bad. So,
How about September 13, Tuesday night, 7 o'clock?
I mean,
Someone make that motion?
What do, 7 o'clock, or do you wanna go earlier?
7.
You people with kids? Okay with that?
Yep.
Yeah, that'll work.
September 13th is fine.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, and Councillor Hallahan seconding it. All in favor? Carried. Okay. Into the fun one now, 12.2. That the Council of the Township of North Huron hereby schedule a public meeting as per Section 10 of the Drainage Act to receive the preliminary engineer's report of the Hopper Municipal Drain 2016 on July 21st, 2016 at 5 p.m. at the Wingham Knights of Columbus Hall. You're moving, Councillor Hallahan? Deputy Reeve Campbell, seconds. Discussion? All in favor? Carried. Sharon, opposed?
Yes. Brief. So,
Okay.
We have two items. One to deal with personnel matters regarding the shared services project, and another for fire department personnel matters.
Okay, and Pat?
So I'm not sure what was on the agenda, but we were going to revisit the item from the consent agenda in my
Yes, I'm
report.
sorry, we did pass that.
I mean, if you want to skip it, that's fine.
So other business, we're still
Next,
on the other business section, so we can
Oh, so I.
do that now.
Okay. Do we need a motion to add that?
It just comes down for discussion into the other business section.
Okay,
So I believe it was Councillor Knott who wanted to perhaps request some direction for staff.
Yeah, I think that, you know, I'm fine with Pat and research that we probably got ourselves committed to the West Cast complex until it falls to the ground. But I think that we should really take a look seriously at some of the smaller areas and see if there are possibilities for some, you know, some fundraising there for the complex by, you know, issuing naming rights or selling those naming rights to those places. CKNX Hot Stove Lounge would be a good place to start. They can broadcast live from there. But I think that perhaps it's a worthwhile exploration. You know, it doesn't have to be large areas or large amounts of money, but every little contribution counts, and it gives the community an opportunity to participate as well. So.
Councillor Wadden?
I'm in agreement with that, but I wonder, is it necessary to limit it to the complex? We have other facilities that.
I think that was the general intent, that we would open it up to more than just the complex.
Yes, so a general policy to cover the process and how we would approach it.
Okay. So, Sharon?
If there is a motion of direction, could we see if that could come forward in conjunction with the 2017 budget process, or are you okay with that timeline?
Yeah, I don't have any objection to that we look at it at that point in time. And I guess we really need sort of a list of spots that would be suitable, not just a general gee whiz, give us some money. And
Pat?
It would be my recommendation that if we were going to approach this project on a broad scale, that we would be looking to outside resources to provide expertise on this project. It is, it can take 18 months to 2 years to land somebody and sign that contract from the moment you suggest that we're going to now look for a naming right of the aquatic center, which is the perfect opportunity, since we're looking at going into a renovation project there, to actually, you know, coming to terms with all of the agreement and signing on that. So I think it's a great idea. However, I would like to have an opportunity to explore what it would take to bring a consulting company in, and as they work through this project with us, how their fees roll out if they're successful in landing these naming opportunities. I'd also like an opportunity to speak with the 1419 Income Group that have been working towards that at Memorial Hall. I'd like to see how their success has been, and an opportunity to bring that back before we make a decision on how long, the time frame, and how that project will roll out. I would prefer, if that's okay, suitable to council, to bring some information back.
a timeline can put on that.
I think it's something that needs to be discussed, to even get the timeline. Sharon?
Yeah, I think the initial step would be a report back from the Director of Recreation and Facilities on what the process might look like before we would move forward. So if you're happy with a report from her by the end of the year, say, would that be suitable?
Great.
Is that a motion? Do we do motion out then,
Directing
Pat, for the
to prepare a report
report?
on facility naming rights.
Could be.
End of the year, would that still allow us time to make any insertions in the budget for next year? Feel it's appropriate? Or we-
It might allow some and not others, that some may take a lot longer to put the proper stuff together, right?
I don't know whether we can put a date on it for Pat to be done by. I think she's gonna start on it whenever she can get it done, so we're not putting a date because there's a lot of research to be done here, I guess. You know.
Well, there could be
So-
quite a bit, or I could get lucky up front and get a lot of good information up front and be able to share that with
Right.
council right away,
So if
so.
you get it back to us, that'll be fine.
And I can keep council updated on the status of the project through our monthly activity reports. Just to show, demonstrate that progress is being made until we're ready to share. If that's acceptable to council.
I think that would be great.
Okay.
Mover and seconder for that, Ray and Bill. All in favor? Carried. We're ready for 13 then. Call for a motion to go in camera. Councillor Vaughn, Councillor Syfe, all in favor? Carried. We will have a short recess right now.